All right. Good evening, everyone. If it is an evening for you, I know we have students from all across the globe, so it may be the middle of the night for some of you. Welcome to the UMass Icons info session. My name is Wesley Dunham. I am the Strategic Communication and Program Manager for the program. I am a alumnus of UMass, class of 1999, and I've been with icons for a little over 4 years, started during the pandemic right at the beginning. And I'm so excited to share a little bit more about our program. And if you have any questions about the University of Massachusetts Amherst, we are here to help you and talk about our stories. So, again, it's very exciting to have so many students interested in this program and in UMass, and I thank you all for joining us and learning a little bit more about the UMass Icons program, which is just one program at a very large research institution. Um, I am the main staff person. I do the day-to-day operations. For the most part, you will communicate with me non-academic wise 90% of the time. So sorry, you have to get used to this face. If you have any questions after this session, email the icons email. You all received the Zoom link from that, and that will be me answering you. We will not be able to get to every question tonight. We're going to do our best, but we will not be able to. Um, we do have a group of students and one instructor slash executive director here tonight. The students will introduce themselves in a few minutes, but I want to thank Scott Arbeck. He's the Mahoney family sponsored executive director of Icons and the founding faculty member of the program. And without further ado, I'd just like Scott to say hello and start talking a little bit about Icons.
Thank you so much, Wesley. Thank you to the students, Anna, Hannah, Dashini, and Adriana for being here. Thank you, Wesley. And thank you to all the students who are joining here, who are thinking about coming to UMass Amherst. What I'd like to do is I'd like to share some slides. So here I go. Wish me luck. Okay, share, I push share.
Here we go.
There we go. And let me know, Wesley, when you see the full thing. Okay, great. Now I'm going to grab a laser pointer just because I love lasers. Okay, great. So these are a few slides to introduce you to the UMass Icons program. Icons, by the way, stands for Integrated Concentration in STEM. And it's a program with a mission of inspiring a diverse generation of people doing innovative work in STEM, business, and policy. Why do we need that? Well, let's be honest. There's no shortage of problems in the world. I mean, if you think about the fact that we're still getting about 80% of our energy from burning fossil fuels, there is mounting garbage. We used to recycle as much as we can and send to China, but they have enough of their trash, so our garbage has no place to go. It's just mounting and growing. And then, of course, there's the uncertain specter of climate change. We know we can feel it already, but we just don't know how bad it's going to get. And I haven't even mentioned things like cancer or COVID or in general infectious disease. I mean, there's a lot of problems. And I got to ask you, I'm just going to ask, this is what I'll do, like if we're in person, I just say, how many people are concerned about the future? And I can tell you that I am. And the thing that makes me concerned is I'm not sure that our higher education is training people to be able to tackle these problems. So in Icons, we came up with a new approach, and it's very simple. It's shown here. It is diverse teams of students working on today's big problems. So when I talk about diverse teams, I mean that we need all hands on deck from all fields of knowledge. So for example, we need people who know about the whole planet Earth, geoscientists and environmental scientists. We need engineers. We need physics and chemists, physicists and chemists. We need people who know about math and finance. We need people who know about psychology and management and basically all fields of STEM and business and policy to come together in teams and work on today's big problems. In Icons, we have two tracks, one in biomedicine, health of people, health of the planet, and one in renewable energy. So that's efficient and sustainable energy. And there's no shortage of problems in these fields. So that's what Icons is. What makes it special? It is the only certificate program, and I want to emphasize that iCons is not a major. So you pick your major, and then you come to iCons and you carry the expertise of that major into these teams. So it's the only certificate program in the USA that trains cross-functional teams across this array of different fields. It goes 20 credits deep with innovative research. It builds inclusive leaders. You don't see those words next to each other, but the world needs inclusive leaders with what's called student-driven learning. That means that you have your hands on the steering wheel of what you're studying. You get to pick the problems that you want to study, and you get to identify the solutions that you want to pursue. You will hone critical skills and things that employers and graduate schools are hungry for. So being able to communicate to diverse audiences, being able to collaborate, and being able to problem solve. And at the end of the day, what is iCons? It instills hope, the power of human diversity for solving real world problems. So how is this attractive to an array of different students? And so this just shows that different students come to iCons for different reasons. Diana came because she doesn't want to be like hemmed into one way of thinking. She wants a more expansive kind of education. Antonia knows that there are an array of skills that companies want or medical schools want, because Antonia is going to go to medical school, and she wants to make sure that she's learning those skills. Amanda, she's just like hungry to work on something real. So often students are told, oh, I'm sorry, you have to wait till you're a senior to work on something real. No, that doesn't make sense. You should start right away. And then there's the idea of just hitting the ground running after college. If at the end of college you're expected to succeed in working with complicated problems, that when you're in college you need experience with that. And then there's the multicultural aspect. Nicole is really interested in the idea that, she wants to just work with and meet people from different cultures, different disciplines, different backgrounds. So whatever your reason for coming to iCons, whatever your reason for coming tonight, it's the right reason for you. So what is iCons? iCons is a certificate with 2 tracks, one in biomedicine, health of people, health of the planet, the other in clean energy. As I said before, sufficient in sustainable energy. It's 3 courses, 1 course in and I should say this is what iCons looks like if you join in your first year. You can also join in your second year. I'll talk about that in a second. If you join in your first year, then it's 1 course per year for the first 3 years, plus a senior project. And the really important thing to realize is that this isn't over and above what you need to do. All the iCons courses count for stuff you need to take, so you can fit it into your schedule. If you're an engineer, if you're in the business school, if you're in policy, if you're in the College of Natural Sciences, if you're in computer science, if you're in public health, whatever it is, we've worked with those colleges to make sure that iCons can fit. Now, if you come as a second-year student, and I don't know if there are any second-year students on this call, but there might be, then what you do is you take iCons here, and then you double up iCons 2 and 3 here. We've had a lot of students do that with great success. So I want to give you a flavor for some of the projects that have been done in iCons. So on the more biomedicine side, here's a project where students formed a team, and this was started in iCons 1, inspired in iCons 1, and that iCons 1 class launched their course focusing on antibiotic resistance. And this is a serious problem, the fact that we're using so many antibiotics, not only for treating human health problems, but for in agriculture. So antibiotics used in agriculture. So it's getting into food, and in general, germs are getting resistant to antibiotics. So what happens when you get really sick and you get really sick with a bacterial infection that's resistant to antibiotics? At some point, Houston, we have a problem. And so what this team was working on was catheter-borne hospital-acquired infections, which are very deadly. And they came up with an idea for studying what are called anti-fouling catheters. They were so excited about this idea generated in iCons 1, where you generate ideas. They carried it through all 4 years. They actually started a company called the Microblasters, and they raised, with various entrepreneurship activities at UMass, $70,000 to launch their company. So this is just an exciting story of what you can do when you get excited about something and you have time and space and resources to follow that up. Another big area is in carbon emissions, trying to limit carbon emissions. And what this graph shows is that these are the top 10 emitters in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And who is number one? UMass Amherst, at roughly 125,000 metric tons of CO2 per year. Now, by the year 2050, by Massachusetts state law, we have to get that down to 0. And so that is a serious challenge that the iCons program has taken on. And it's called the Carbon Zero Project at UMass. And over 100 students have worked on this through iCons 2 and 3 and 4. And just to give you an idea of what some of the teams have worked on, so net zero buildings, meaning buildings that are designed to actually use less, to absorb, like in solar, less energy than they use. Green roofs, which are excellent at cooling buildings and actually treating water. Using geothermal and solar in the same space. Geothermal is heat, solar is electricity, using the same acreage for both. Flow batteries, which allow campus to actually store energy, electrical energy, and then a vehicle to grid technology, which actually imagines, and that's a project that's happening actually right now, where teams are working on the question, can electric vehicles actually provide energy to campus? So there's an array of different ways that students have gotten involved in the process of trying to get the UMass Amherst campus down to net zero. So that's what iCon students have done. What about you? What are your next steps? So I list 3 of them here. Number 1, if you're interested in iCons and you see this as an exciting opportunity, you need to come to UMass Amherst, because you won't find the iCons program or anything like it anywhere else. Then the other thing you need to do is apply to iCons, and the application deadline will be October 15th, 2024. So you put your suitcase down when you come to college. You've got 6 weeks to think about what your interests are in the context of iCons. And then I'm just advertising, we have an event. Normally it's at the end of October, beginning of November, called the Idea Slam, which gives you a flavor for what iCons work is like. So I'm just putting a seed in your head to think about that. And please check out the iCons website for all info related to that and everything iCons. So again, I just want to thank you for coming. We're excited to answer any questions that you have. And with that, I will give it back to you, Wesley.
Great. Thank you very much, Scott. That was in depth. Does anyone have any questions right now for Scott about the program? There'll be other opportunities to ask. But yes, Vanya? Your hand is up?
Tania, hello.
Vanya, wonderful. Welcome. What's your question?
Thank you. So I just wanted to clarify, being in the program does it add additional classes, or like how would that fit in with a student's schedule and
Yes,
classes? Thank you.
yeah. So the answer is that the first class, iCons class, counts as a gen ed that you already need to take. So that doesn't add anything new. The second iCons class is your writing class, and you already need to take a writing class, so that doesn't add anything new. The third iCons class, for many majors, counts as an upper level laboratory elective, so that doesn't add anything new. And then the iCons 4 class, if you're in engineering, then it can be your senior design. If you're in the honors college, then it's basically already your honors thesis. And if you're in neither of those, then it's basically an independent study. And so that's the only add-on. That's the only situation where iCons would be an add-on to the courses that you already need to take. I hope that answered your question, Vanya. Okay, great, super, thank you.
Right. So we have a couple questions in the chat room. I'm going to answer those, then we're going to move on to our students. But the application should open mid to late August. You'll find it on our website. You should, if you do attend UMass, you will get 1 to 2 emails over the summer from iCons, and we'll have another info session and we'll let people know about the application, but it does open mid to late August and again runs till Indigenous Peoples Day. I believe, as Scott said, that's October 15th. And then I read on the website, yeah, there will be a third track, food, water, climate. Now, Scott, you did not touch on that and you mentioned the 2 climates. Can I get, is now a good time to just give a
Yes.
brief update about that?
Yes, yes. So I can't believe that I forgot to mention that. That's kind of crazy. Um, but yes, there is a new track coming. And it is in the integrated problem area of food, water, climate. That's 3 words, but 1 problem, because climate change is redistributing water over the planet Earth, and the largest human use of water is for making food. So bottom line is that climate change, big thing it's doing is it's putting food and water security at risk for millions, if not billions of people across the planet. So what we are doing is we're launching a 3rd track, and we welcome people who are interested in looking at this problem through an integrated lens, meaning that we need to be thinking about climate. Can't work in this if we're not thinking about climate. We need to be thinking about water, and we need to be thinking about food. And what we need to be doing is, of course, everybody in the food, water, climate track might have a particular area that they think is their focus, but everybody needs to be sort of thinking about all 3 facets. So this is an exciting, this is the first time that we're adding a new track to iCons in a while, and it's very exciting.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, so again, you'll have opportunities to ask questions, and if you put a question in a chat, I'll try to answer it when we have an opportunity. I do want to introduce our first speaker. I want to ask Hannah to unmute, say hello, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Hannah. I'm an environmental science major and a German minor. This is my 2nd year at UMass, and I'm from Lexington, Massachusetts. So I joined iCons my 1st year at UMass. And honestly, we were just talking about this before. About 2 years ago, I was on this exact same kind of Zoom call. And it was one of the big reasons that I chose to come to UMass, just because they have so many opportunities here, like a lot of different programs such as iCons and a lot of different activities to join. So I don't know, just a little bit about like the research that I've been doing lately in iCons. I know Scott was talking a little bit about the carbon zero goal of UMass. So my group right now is working on comparing sodium ion and lithium ion batteries for a potential alternative to on-campus battery storage, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, and aside from academics, I guess I'm part of the UMass club gymnastics team and outing club. So those are some of my other hobbies. But I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them about iCons, about UMass. So feel free to ask.
Hannah, we did have a question ahead of time, much similar to the question that we just received from a student during Scott's piece, and that is not about extra classes, but workload, time commitment. These are 4-credit honors classes. Do you see these as different than your quote unquote average class?
I would say the major difference is that these are like very self-directed student projects. So you'll have more time outside of class where you have to coordinate with your group members or kind of like stay on track with your projects. But I would say, as long as like class time is really well utilized to help build your projects and give you like the tools that you need. And so I think compared to like a general like lecture, maybe you don't have as much homework, but you'll have more studying for that. So this is more like hands-on working with a team outside of class. But I don't think it's pretty comparable in terms of workload, like in total for a 4-credit class, I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anything specific to Hannah right now? Does outing club, any gymnasts out there? How'd you do at nationals?
It went really well. Yeah, we
Good.
got to go to Albuquerque.
Wow.
We brought a team of around 15 people, and we had one finalist, so it was really cool.
Congratulations. Wonderful.
Thank
Hey, Lauren. All right, wonderful. Well, I lost my thing. Well, Hannah, you talked a little bit about your research. Can you tell me about one project you did in the first class, iCons 189H?
Yeah, the last project I did in iCons 1, I did basically transportation equity in Boston. So we looked at mapping like where the city bikes were in Boston, and then like we used ArcGIS, which was a brand new tool to our group. So we basically learned it like how to use it on our own to like overlay like I don't know we did bike accidents and redlining maps of the city of Boston compared with where the current bike stations were. So this was really like an interesting intersection between like I guess like the history of redlining and how that's kind of the legacy has gone on for like equitable bike access in the city. And then it was also very cool. This was in conjunction with the Museum of Science. So I got the opportunity to go actually to the Museum of Science at the start of the fall, so last fall. And we just got to see all the different partners that were working at the Museum of Science. So that was really cool.
Great. Thank you very much, Hannah. All right. I'm going to answer one question and then ask our next student to talk. Someone asked about requirements/constraints to apply to iCons. iCons does not look at GPA, SAT scores, rankings. If you come in as a sophomore, we don't look at any type of UMass credentials. We don't I don't want to say we don't care. We don't look at honors status. All of our courses are honors, but we don't look at that. We are really looking for the person. We want to build a diverse cohort, a diverse student body that's going to work on great problems. So we look for breadth and depth of knowledge, inquisitiveness, curiosity. Do you see the world maybe a little bit different than others and see different random things that can connect different ideas? So I hope that helps. We do not look for those credentials when, they're very important and kudos to you, but we want students, that are they're going to be great for iCons and whatever that means. So thank you for that question. So again, thank you, Hannah. I'd now like Anna, I didn't think of that segue, to come off and say a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Wesley. My name's Anna. I'm from Easton, Massachusetts. I'm a environmental science major and a poli-sci minor here at UMass. I'm just finishing up my sophomore year. The reason I came to UMass was mostly based off the size. Really, I knew I wanted a big school, and I knew that really that would give me a lot of opportunities to network with different people, especially in Massachusetts. And being from Massachusetts, I knew my network coming from UMass and connecting with other people from UMass in Massachusetts would be really helpful and beneficial to me if I wanted to stay in Massachusetts too, but really anywhere just because of how many people there are. Both my parents also came to UMass, so I really knew how tight-knit of a community UMass is and how willing UMass people are to help other UMass people too, even once you graduate. Now being here, I really love the campus. I really love everyone I've met here. It feels like it's such a diverse group of people, but everyone has like the same goals and the same values, which I really appreciate in a school. And it like really makes you feel like you fit in, despite there being so many people. The iCons program was something that seemed like it made so much sense for me coming in as an environmental science major, especially on a policy track, just because it gave me the opportunity to really look at real world problems and kind of get some experience that I might not otherwise get. Like Hannah, last year, iCons gave me the opportunity to work with the Museum of Science in Boston. I focused on biking and cycling as a form of sustainable transportation, specifically the accessibility aspect of it in schools. And we looked at a lot of different initiatives that could be implemented across the schools in Boston to expand kids' knowledge of biking and what safe biking looks like too. This year, I'm currently working on a project on hibiscus and the ways that hibiscus can be used in medicine, kind of in a way to fight off antibacterial resistance, and just looking at how different stigmas around native medicine play into the modern medicine world and how maybe that could be deterred. Outside of iCons and other research areas, I'm currently working with a UMass professor to write a law review article on hydropower dam decommissioning. And that's been a super eye-opening experience, something I feel like I really got like specifically at UMass. I don't know if I'd have these opportunities elsewhere. And it's been really awesome. I've learned so much, and it directly correlates to what I want to do. So that's been really great, as all these research projects, the ones with iCons, have been really great to build my resume and make me more valuable to employers and prospective stuff in that way.
Great.
Outside of all that, I'm also on like intramural teams on campus, which are super fun and a great way to meet people.
Anna, you mentioned your environmental science.
Mhm.
And you're working on a research project right now about hibiscus, you said,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Now that doesn't scream environmental science other than it's a plant. How do you bring, like, to the team, what do you bring as an environmental science student compared to maybe some of the other teammates? Really, this
Yeah,
is
so-
getting at sort of how it relates to your major to some degree.
Yeah. Yeah. In my group, there's a bunch of different majors. We have bio majors, we have psych majors, and then I'm environmental science, like you said. Specifically for environmental, I've been looking a lot at the aspects of what growing hibiscus looks like and how you could make that more accessible, or like what's necessary to do that on your own. But as a group as a whole, we kind of divided the project into different sections that kind of relate to every topic of our major. So it really connects really nicely for everyone in the group to be able to look at the different aspects of our idea in a really like broad spectrum.
Wonderful, thank you. You know, I actually have a question from someone, whether they registered or I'm not sure if they're here tonight. The UMass question: how do people get around at UMass? It's a very big campus. How do you get around?
I still live on campus, but I will be moving off campus next year. Very walkable campus. I really love the walks. I live in a small town, but it's not super walkable. Or if you're walking, it's like in the woods. And I really like walking around campus and being able to get outside. And it really gives me a moment of like peace, especially before you're like getting into class and everything's chaotic. And it's also really fun to like see everyone else walking around on campus because you always run into people. But I also take the bus. I took the bus this morning. That's super easy to use and really convenient sometimes if it's raining or if you're just running late or if you just don't feel like walking. Some people have scooters and some kids have their cars too. So you can use all of those different things.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And as Dashini added in the chat, the bus is free. It's a wonderful system. So thank you very much, Anna. I now like to ask, perfect segue, Dashini, to come off mute, say hello, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
It's my turn, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, but it's pronounced Dashni.
Oh,
It's
Dashni,
okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Something I always have to remind people. But it's okay. Yeah, my name is Dashni. I am a biology major and a Spanish major, and it's also my second year in icon. And yeah, it's been pretty fun. I picked UMass because just something might sound silly, but like UMass was actually my dream school because it checked off all the checklists for me. It was like a perfect location. It just like far enough from home, but like not too far. Like it was out of state. And my favorite part, the thing that like caught me was just like the environmental part of UMass. It was like both urban and rural, and yeah, the environment is very pretty. And my favorite part of campus is the pond. Like Anna was saying, like when you're walking, if you like walking, like just walking along the pond is so peaceful, especially at night. So yeah, it's been pretty nice. I don't know all the questions, so Wesley, feel free to like, throw them at me if I'm missing something in
No,
my
it's fine.
introduction. Um,
Are you
but
active on
yeah,
campus?
yes, yes, I try my best to be, but as my workload can be a lot as a bio major. But yeah, okay, yeah, something I am doing right now, I am currently on a scholarship committee, which I feel very honored to be part of. It was a scholarship I received in high school, and then this year I got the honor and the opportunity to be on the scholarship committee where I review applications myself. And yeah, and then it was really nice, and like I said, it was an honor to hear different stories of the application, and yeah, and then I'm currently working as a discussion facilitator for the 5 colleges. So I think the 5 colleges include like UMass Amherst College, Smith College, and I don't remember the rest of them.
Mount
But yeah,
Holyoke,
it
New
is for
Hampshire.
yeah, and then it is for students. They have like a language learning program where students from like those 5 different colleges, including UMass Amherst, can learn a new different language if they want to. And then my job is to facilitate the discussion session for specifically Haitian Creole, which has been really fun. Um, but yeah, I am currently not doing research. I am planning on doing that next year. But yeah, I'm just a very creative person on my own. I enjoy writing poetry, and yeah, and I love the healthcare system. I'm a big medical nerd, and yeah, and I am a CNA, and I work at a hospital back home doing breaks and things like that. And my last project I did in Icon One was we did research about medical mistrust and specifically had the affect medical accessibility, which was pretty cool because we dive into the history of medical mistrust, especially with minority groups, and had that affect the lack of medical accessibility to a lot of those groups. And a project I'm working on right now, which is pretty cool, is personalized medicine, and then we are looking at personalized medicine and oncology. And personalized medicine is basically when you create a treatment plan or a care plan based on the person's diagnosis and them as an individual and not as a whole. Like even though they might all have the same disease, but you really look at like the genetics and how you can create a treatment plan designed for specifically them, which is really nice. And like Anna said, like our group it consists of like different majors. So it's pretty cool. We even have someone from engineering sciences, which is pretty cool, in public health. So it's so fun when we all work together and put a mindset to it and then our skills into it. And yeah, and let me know if I didn't cover or if I
No,
missed something.
that's perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, are you pre-med?
Yes, I forgot to
We
add
have
that. Yes.
a lot of students that were interested, it's not a pre-med program. It's like an advising
Mhm.
center and a selection of different classes that could help you, correct?
Yes. Pre-health advisor. Yep. Health
Oh, okay.
advisor.
Okay. Thank you very
Mhm.
much. I now, and I do apologize for mispronouncing your name, Dashani, so thank you.
Oh no, yeah.
Adriana, I'd like to ask you to come off mute and say a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi. My name's Adriana. I'm a freshman, so I'm an iCons 1 student, which means I have like a little bit less experience than other students with iCons. I've just been doing it this semester. I'm a double major in computer science and mathematics, and I'm from Lebanon, New Hampshire, so out of state but not very far. And I really like it at iCons a lot. I think it's a very practical solution for many honors students to get honors classes in gen eds, especially if you have coming in a lot of gen eds already satisfied with APs. I think that's a great point to put out there, that it really doesn't make it harder to satisfy requirements. It's made it a lot easier for me to satisfy my requirements. And yeah, I think the icons is really great for that. I like saying that point. Additionally, okay, I chose UMass because it's a big school and it's very good for CS. And also my like sister is a PhD here, so it was great to be able to be with her for longer because she's much older than I am. She left the house when I was like 8. So I came here in order to like spend more time with her in my like adult life. And I also like the school a lot. And for research wise at iCons, I've done 2 case studies. I'm in my second one right now. In my first one, we did like vertical farming research, in which we like basically looked into how vertical farming could be feasible at UMass. And that was like a tangent off of how vertical farming could help with urban heat islands. And then after that, in the second case study, we chose anything we wanted to do. And for that, my team chose AI and basically just how can AI, like, can it replace humans? And then we narrowed that down to how well can AI mimic like people's ability to like rate images and write text, because we had to narrow it down. So we like narrowed it down to that scope of like how well can this artificial intelligence basically do the job of what a human would do in like rating images and writing text. And then we narrowed that down to how well is it able to do that. And the people are just specifically UMass students. So like how able is it to replicate UMass students in writing text and rating images? And that's like what we chose for a project. And we have 2 surveys that we're creating to send out to students right now.
There is a question specifically for you as a double major. What's the experience like doing icons while double majoring? But I'd like you to expand on that as well and just briefly talk about your experience as a double major. Like, I'm sure a high school student coming in is wondering, what's the workload? I think that's a common question.
I think the workload, it includes being intentional about picking what classes you want, because you want to pick classes that basically double up on both majors. That's a really important thing. And also it's wise to choose CS and math because there's a lot of overlap between the majors. So it makes it easier than other double, like majoring with some other major. It's like an easier one to do. There's a lot of CS students that double major with math, and it's pretty common. So it's like well known, and the advising for it is very good. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much. Lauren, thank you for coming in. If you can unmute, say hello, and
Yes.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sorry for being late,
You're
everyone. My name is Lauren. I currently a junior at UMass. I study food science, double major with biochemistry. Um, and the journey into icons is quite a journey. I first start off as a biomedicine track, and then I switch into renewable energy track. And then for icons tree, I'm doing finance. So all of the 3 track is not related to my major at all, but I say I studied a lot. I met a lot of new people, and right now I'm a TA for icons tree class. So I'm get in touch with more projects in icons, and they are all very cool. So to be honest, like your background is not really define what you can do. That's what I want to say. So my coolest project and the most hard one, I would say it's the last semester I did the finance part because I never do finance thing. But it was really fun. We work with startup startup people in Colombia. They doing um on chocolate. They want to create chocolate made from 100% cacao products. And because it's a startup, they have to deal a lot with like finance side, like, you know, the revenue and how to get more people interested in and invest in their project. So yeah, that's what I want to say, I guess.
Wonderful.
Um,
Wonderful. I am
yeah.
curious, because we, so this is you know, Scott, I think mentioned it, but we do accept business students, and there's an Icons 3
Mm,
business option, which you chose to
mhm,
do, the management
mhm.
course taught by Mila Sherman. And it sounded like you chose it out of curiosity, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's really true because well, I'm pretty organized, so I have my things planned out, and I kind of want to take icons last semester. And icons only offer in the spring. But luckily there are like fall option too, and I think there are 3 or 4 options during the fall semester. So I choose to do finance because I think it's quite interesting. The class name is Alternative Investment, and yeah, I did learn a lot. We also do projects, and I did projects with, you know, the finance people.
Mhm.
It's really fun. We work like it's not case study. We work with real um people who like want solutions for the
Mhm.
students. So
Mhm.
it's quite intense, but you know, I learned a lot first of all, and it's really fun. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. And you're also a double major. Where are you from, Lauren?
Oh, I'm international student, so
Yeah.
I'm from Vietnam.
Okay.
um, yeah,
How
I'm
can you
from
talk?
Vietnam.
Yeah, you know, we have so a lot of the questions were about you know, how international students fit in icons, and can you talk about your, you know, briefly your experience as an international student? Do
Mm,
you think icons
yeah.
is, you know, is a welcoming and comfortable place for an international student?
Hmm. Yeah, I think of course it is. I feel like icons have a very diverse background students. Well, I'm international, but diverse background here, I mean different majors, different, you know, of a lots of different things. For example, in Icons 3, I know there are a lot of students from, you know, other countries, but like from computer science, computer engineering people, also in biomedicine track. Like it's really cross. I would say, yeah, welcoming. We also learn from each other a lot. Even in the new project, not everyone knows everything, so we really take time to learn from each other and learn together. Because, well, some people have advantage because, for example, computer science people have difficulties in doing biomedicine stuff, right? But I feel like the instructors and, you know, the students are really understanding and welcoming, and everything can be learned. So, you know, that's what I feel like. Take me as an example. I'm, you know, studying food science and biochemistry, but I do all different stuff, and it comes out really fine. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I have gained a lot of skills. So yeah, I don't think anyone restrict anyone in icons environment.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Of
Um,
course.
So it, I'm gonna move on. Those are all our students, and they're gonna stick around if you have questions for them specifically. As you know, I asked you ahead of time when you registered if you have questions, and I'm gonna try to answer those as much as possible. There is one additional, or maybe a couple questions. Oh, Scott answered it on the chat. Someone asked how many students are in this program. So, you know, at any given moment, I mean, it can fluctuate a little bit, but we do have over 200 students. And one big question a lot of times is how many students get accepted when students apply. And for the past several years, it's been 72. We've had roughly 36 per track, let's say, average. With the addition of the food water track, we will be adding students to the new cohort. So 108 is our target number. 108 students will be coming in as the new cohort, which over a couple of years will greatly increase the size of iCons. So hopefully that answered that. And does anyone, before I get into some of the questions that were set ahead of time, does anyone have any questions that they want to raise their hand for? No. Can Anna, from icons 1 and 2, are there tests and exams in icons?
No, there is no testing exams, which for me makes it really good. I do much better when I'm graded on like a project or working with a group, and it's not as memorize and apply. Yeah, the other thing I want to add about the number of students is the class size is really reasonable. Because there's like 36 kids per class. I really appreciate that about icons. The class sizes are much smaller even when it's, you're still taking lectures that are really big. So without being in like upper level classes that get smaller, I'm still in a bunch of classes that have over 200 kids. So it's really nice to go to my icons class that only has like 26 kids, and feel like you really can get the one-on-one attention you need and like work in a smaller environment that's much different than a lot of my other classes.
Wonderful, thank you. Scott, can you talk briefly about acceptance rates and the difficulty or not difficulty of getting into icons?
Yeah, so my advice about getting into icons, first of all, is to think about what you're really truly interested in, what really drives you. Like if you could push a button and get into icons, and start working on stuff, what would that be? Why is that? And how does that connect to you, your personal sense of mission? When the admissions committee reads, so there are 3, questions that we ask. And the first one is about a previous experience that, maybe was challenging or maybe you grew from and positions you for being able to contribute to the community in icons. The second question is about where you imagine you'll be in your career in 10 years. Obviously, we're not going to hold you to it, but we ask you to take a guess. And how does icons help you to get there? And then the third question is very iconsy, in that what's a real world problem that has you at the edge of your seat, and what's the role of things like STEM and business and policy to help solve that problem? So when you look at those questions, my advice to you is to really speak from the heart. And what we look for is we look for people who are expressing authentic interest in working on these things. And that will dramatically increase your chance of getting in to icons. So I hope, Wesley, that answered the slice of that question that you had in mind.
I think so. Yeah, thank you.
Good.
That's great. How many of our icon students, other than Lauren who mentioned it, have changed their major? Hannah? All right. But Hannah, if you can, a couple students asked about changing a major as a first-year student. Is that a difficult process?
So basically when I came to UMass, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I had just like clicked a box on my application. And so I came to UMass and it was natural resource conservation. But I kind of knew that I wanted to do something in the environmental field, just wasn't sure what. And so environmental science is pretty closely related. And I was able to, at least in that department, the advisors are super helpful. They have peer advisors with drop-in hours, and there's like a lot of really good information on the website. So it wasn't too hard to switch at all. I was able to switch like second semester already. I think for different majors, there are some requirements, like if you want to transfer into engineering or into the business school, I think they're a little more restrictive. But in general, I know tons of people that have switched their major all sorts of numbers of times. And it's really just about finding what really interests you in the beginning. So
Great. Thank you very much. So there are some questions in the chat and some of them get answered. I'm going to try to not to be repetitive with those. Someone who came late asked about the application process for icons, and it's a good time to reiterate that the application opens in mid to late August and is due by October 15th. And then the selection process happens for about a month. Scott just mentioned the 3 essay questions, and we also ask, basic bio questions. Again, we do not look at GPA, honor status, anything like that. And then all applicants are assigned to a graduate of iCons for a 10-minute interview. And, so we look at all the data that comes in from your answers and from that interview to try to pick a wonderful cohort for iCons. So the application comes out end of the summer. You have about 6 weeks or so to do it. And that'll be on our website. Plus, you'll hopefully get an email over the summer from iCons through the UMass general account. All right, is anything else? Okay, someone asked, is there, I don't know, Scott's answering some questions, which is good. They popped. Somebody did ask and Scott answered, but I do want to touch on this again. If you don't get in as a first-year student, or you just want to get your settled at UMass and find your way without like applying for this 3.5-year program, you can apply as a second-year student. Also, if you're on this call and you're transferring in and you have and you are a class of 27 or later, you can certainly apply. The program can be done in 3 years. So I just want to say that again. There's been a lot of questions ahead of time, and we get it every year, how is this different from the Honors College? And is this just for the Honors College and stuff like that? And we've already talked about, you don't have to be in honors to apply. And I hope that you've gotten the sense that we are not the Honors College. All our courses are honors. About 50% of our students are in honors. We're a wonderful program that helps students and is great. And you get experiences and wonderful class experiences and internship experiences and research. But we are not honors, although it's a wonderful dovetail and works together with honors. So we are separate. We are a certificate program. But if anyone has any deeper questions about that and I didn't answer them, I'd be happy to. So Adriana, how do you find your role as a computer science student when you're on a team? What do you bring to that team?
I think as young freshman undergrads, even considering our different majors, we come with a very similar skill set. We kind of like separate ourselves and tear ourselves into the different majors, but I find a lot of us are trying to use our adaptive intelligence to be able to do whatever we can to the best of our ability. And it doesn't, just because I'm a CS major doesn't mean I can't do environmental things. And just because someone's not a CS major doesn't mean they can't do coding. We're just coming with the best of our ability and doing anything that we can to help the team. And it doesn't necessarily have to fall within our major. And I think that's true a lot for comp sci, because a lot of the major, like the stuff that I'm doing right now in Icons 1 really isn't comp sci stuff traditionally, but it's good to use like comp sci like skills of like ways of thinking and like different paths that like my classes have formed within my brain to like be able to help the team. But it really doesn't completely matter what your major is. You're just helping with the skill set that you have from wherever you have it.
Wonderful, thank you. Well, folks, we want to be conscious of your time and we do not want to run over. Are there any other questions from anyone? And if not, I have one question that I like to ask our icon students when they're on these sessions. And that is, what is one aspect of icons that often doesn't get touched in these things or is often overlooked? And feel free to come off mute if you have an answer. Dashini.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up. There's something I didn't want to leave without saying.
Mhm.
Like an advice I wanted to give people is just like, honestly, I feel like one of as especially as a bio major or anyone that is required to do junior writing, I feel like one of the greatest favor you could do yourself is take junior writing with Icon, and I promise you that. I feel like I see a lot of people nodding because I'm taking it with Icon, and then I also have and my friend is taking it like she's not an Icon, she's just like taking the regular one, and I am so grateful and I am so thankful that I did that to myself. And yeah, and Icon is just a great program. And like a lot of you mentioned, it's just like I feel like it's a win-win. It's a two-in-one type of thing. It's just like it doesn't add to your course. It just like you get extra coins for being icons and you also accomplish something you need for your major anyway. So yeah.
Wonderful. And so if you remember, it does correlate with the icons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adriana, were you fixing your hair or did you have your hand up?
I do fix my hair a lot. That's valid. I had my hand up.
Okay,
So
go
this is
ahead.
something that I noticed today. So I have some comp sci classes that are like 100, 200 kids, but like 10 kids show up to lecture. That's pretty sad, you know? But icons, there's like 72 kids in a cohort, and then all 72 show up till the end of the semester. And that's different from other classes. Because
Mm.
like once attendance isn't mandatory and you're getting into classes which are just like big like lecture or something like that, plus like exams, it's really hard. You don't see a lot of kids in class because a lot of kids stop showing up and just watch the lectures on Echo 360, which is not as fun and kind of disheartening. So when you show up there, you're consistently able to actually see all your classmates, which is different and good.
Wonderful. Thank you. So folks, that's the time we have, but I'm going to leave. I always leave Scott a minute or two
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
send us off. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie. Thank you very much, Wesley. Thank you to Anna and Hannah and to Dashni and Adriana, Lauren, for your pearls of wisdom. Thank you to all the prospective students who are on with us tonight. Thank you for your many questions. Wow. I just have to say, one of the things that strikes me about these information sessions is how inspiring it is to listen to icon students talk about how passionate they are about their work. And I think that's the take-home message. In college, of course, you're expected, hold on a second, I seem to be getting a phone call right now. Sorry about that. Bad timing. Of course, you're expected to work hard. You're going to work hard. The question is not if you're going to work hard. The question is, what are you going to work on? Are you going to get to have time and space and oxygen left in the room to work on something that is central to your heart? Can you bring your whole self into your work? And in icons, you can. And these awesome, amazing students prove that every day. So if that's not enough reason to come to UMass and apply to icons, I don't know what is. So on that note, again, I want to thank you, Wesley, for pulling us all together. I want to thank everybody on this Zoom call. Be well, stay safe.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.